Do you know, I just realised we played the wrong intro video. It's Monday night.
Oh, yeah.
That's our generic Wednesday night drop.
That's right. Oh, well, we'll play that out. The other one on Wednesday night. No one will know.
No. Well, I was just thinking then, because you know how that's like the white bricks with the green background.
Yep.
I thought, maybe we you know, it won't be that hard to make a brown bricks on a tan background.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's technically only, you know, it's just changing the numbers and then sped up with the ticking behind it.
Yep.
You know, it's a bit of video editing. I'm sure we can do it somewhere. I mean, we don't have good old Andrew cheap jokes that can make us cool stop motion, so we might just make our own. Talking about stop motion, remember the other week I mentioned that guy that does all the Bionicle stop motion?
Yeah.
He messaged me like I was chatting to him, and I went like dug deeper and looked at more and more of his stuff. Far out, man. It's like full motion video, like not just stop motion. Like this guy must do 100 moves per second. You know what I mean? Like it's so fluid, it's so good. But
that's
anyway. So it is Monday night. We've sent out the message, and we're missing our cuz. We're missing our cousin.
Yeah, Dan from New Zealand.
We are missing the bro. How are you, Andy? One of the other bros. Well, what's happening Andy over there, mate? I think Dan might be asleep.
Yeah, maybe.
Does Dan live in a real cold area? Maybe he's like rugged up and just couldn't be bothered getting off the lounge or out of bed.
Well, it is winter solstice today, so shortest day of the year.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Man, the amount of work I had today, I thought it was the freaking longest day of the year.
Ha. Hey, Sam.
Sam, Mr. Cook, how are you, buddy? Andy, where's Dan? We wanted the same thing, man. He hasn't even read his messages, so I'd say he's either really busy or
is he ignoring us?
Wellington is windy. Yeah, I remember this time 2 years ago when I went to Wellington, you know, you're walking sideways up the road just to go straight.
Is it windy or is it windy?
Windy. Wait, how cringy are we? Dead set. Honestly, bloody cringy, I'll tell you now. I just open up some new windows. All right, so while the chat people do roll in, the numbers are building up. How's everyone's Monday? Tonight's topic, if you haven't already seen on the Instagram post, it pretty much is, when it comes to Lego, what are you sick of? What do you think Lego have done too much of? You know, what have they saturated? What do you know, they release a theme. If they release a set, a collaboration, you know, a merch deal, a outside branding, you know, do you ever look at something and go, oh, man, really? Again? Another one? And the only reason this came up and where it started, and I'm sure over the next, you know, half hour or so, we'll talk about a million different topics, but the shoes. So I went to the shopping center last night and I walked past this generic shoe store. And it's like, you know, have you seen the white ones now that have the blue and the red stripes?
Yes.
They're like a new design, a new shape.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, there's 2 more now that they've just brought out. Then they just brought out the 6 or the 5 colorways of their first original one. And it's like, you know, even if you take money away from it, fair enough, you know, it's cool, it's a collector's thing. But, you know, within, I reckon 6 months, they've released 8 pairs of shoes for adults, not to mention the 4 sets for kids. It's like...
it's too much.
Yeah, it's, you know, why are you pushing so hard into the shoe market? You know, the couple of odd releases here and there. And, you know, look at the sales. Them first shoes, I mean, I sat online on 3 computers and it was sold out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, someone asked me, I think it was Rick James. He said to me, are you going to buy any of the colorways? Are you going to buy any of the ones of the solid color ones? And I know straight away, the hype's gone. Those color ones, literally, you can go to adidas.com.au now and still buy them. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's where I feel tonight's topics come from. And I mean, we'll dig into it, and I'm sure people in the chat will be, you know, they have their own opinion. But yeah, I think, and you know, as much as everyone knows I like shoes, I think, you know, put the foot, like Nintendo did well with Vans.
Yep.
They had that one-liner release, that one season, smash out all the designs at once, pull the pin. And I think you got a pair, don't you?
I do too.
Yeah, and they're freaking
Mario
cool.
and Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
You know, and they're awesome. Oh, here we go. We can add the third member to bitch about shoes with us. How are you, buddy?
Oh, hey, Dan. Good morning. Your mic's off.
It would help if I turned that back on, wouldn't it?
It would. How are you, buddy?
How are you,
Yeah,
man?
good, mate. Not bad. Not bad.
So tonight's topic is what is Lego? What is sick of? What have they oversaturated when it comes to anything? Themes, collabs, sets. I've got a few people that already jumped on Instagram and given me a few. And I said the shoes. They're literally coming out now with too many collaborated shoes. Just one or two would have been perfect, and then now it's just
So for me, I'll jump in there. I think Lego need to give up on digital. They're trying too hard to evolve digitally, and I think they're missing the mark. Like, they are a physical toy or a physical item that needs hands-on building. And I think
what do you mean in digital, as far as like instructions or the Bluetooth controls or?
No, I don't have an issue with digital instructions. I don't like them, but I don't use them. I can understand for people that do use them, especially when it comes to building black things like the Batwing. The digital instructions are so much easier on the eye. And also people that don't want to keep a shelf full of instructions. I'm all for digital instructions. So I'm talking the AR stuff. I think they're about 10 years too late. The 3DS mastered that. Lego don't need to. I think hidden sides, I mean, the theme was fine. The AR was unnecessary. Now with video, the AR unnecessary. Bluetooth, I think Bluetooth trains, and I mean, any train people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's just battery draining, unnecessary. Bluetooth Technic, absolutely, because there's so many things you can do with that motion where Bluetooth is an advantage, but in trains it's just battery draining. So I think the digital stuff, they keep missing the mark, but they're throwing too much at it to try and keep, I suppose, a generation of digital kids engaged.
Fair call.
Yeah, I think they need to remember their roots. People are screaming out for classic Lego, but they just keep going digital. I think Lego need to remember what they are, where they've come from, and perhaps revisit that, because you will still get a new generation of kids wanting to be physical rather than digital.
Okay, there you go. Anything spring to your mind, Dan? Like anything that they've done, you kind of think to yourself, why are you flogging a dead horse? Why are you trying to push this? Or, it hasn't worked, or, and more of that type.
Yeah, I definitely think as Bills has said, the augmented reality has definitely been a flog of a dead horse, so to speak.
Yep.
Hidden sides was a real flop with the augmented reality, and I don't think video is going to be anywhere near as successful as they want it to be either. And again, the same as hidden sides, the sets were okay in hidden sides. The first wave of video wasn't that great, but the second wave is actually pretty good. So the sets are, the sets are okay, and they may well sell. And, I do like all of the printed tiles and things, but the augmented reality side of things, and, I get it, we're not the target market for it either. But if the target market's not responding to it, then it's just a money drain at that point, isn't it? So
exactly. I would have liked to see hidden sides continue, but without the AR. Because if you look at a theme like they're looking for another Ninjago, that came out of nowhere. It was no IP, no nothing. They created a theme. And same with Nexo Knights. Love it or hate it, while it was around, it was quite successful and popular with the younger generation. So Ninjago has lived to tell the tale and thrive. There's no reason why they can't create another theme out of nowhere to do the same thing. And if you create characters that kids can bond with and whatnot. There's no reason why Hidden Signs couldn't have gone further without the AR stuff.
April kind of threw you under the bus a little bit as well. She commented on my post, I'm waiting for Dan to say Super Mario.
There's another digital.
Because look, the Super Mario, at the end of the day, I'm not a massive Super Mario game fan. I've never played the game, so it doesn't really bother me that much. I think some of the characters that they've done are pretty cool. I think there is some good stuff in the Super Mario's in the Super Mario lineup, but I think the sets are absolute garbage.
Here's another one to throw out as talking about sets as well. And Brent kind of hit on it in the chat. The art sets or the flower sets, or the how far can you pull out of those? You know what I mean?
Isn't too many, too much.
Oh, we've only seen the tip of that iceberg. You can take anything that you want and turn it into an art set. You can. We all know that you can mosaic literally anything, and that's essentially all an art set is. If they're going to go down the Star Wars track, they could mosaic 50 characters if they wanted to.
And look how cheap it's getting now, though, on like Amazon and that.
Yeah.
Well, the longer they're around, the longer they're around, the more they'll clear out. And some of them are, been pretty ordinary. Like I'm a big Beatles fan, but I wouldn't have bought any of those. I didn't think they were up to par, to be honest.
Yeah,
well, sorry, go.
I like the art sets, but I'm going to pick and choose. But I don't think they're not. Lego aren't asking every person, every AFOL to buy every single set.
No, that's true.
And I think with the art sets is they'll just keep pumping them out, and I think over time they'll probably figure out, sort of how many of each they need to produce to appease the market, because some of them are going to hit the market, some of them aren't.
Yeah.
And the flowers, the botanicals are the same. Sorry, man. The botanicals are the same. They're going to, how many hundreds of thousands of plant species are there? They only need to make a dozen of them in Lego to have a reasonably huge, run of botanical sets, So I don't mind those sorts of things. That they, to me, don't seem like as big of a risk to the company as things like video. Video's a massive risk. They must have spent a lot of time developing that app.
Oh yeah.
And Mario as well. They've spent a lot of time developing that app, and I don't really know many people at all that use Mario Play the app. They use the stuff to make mocks and things, but it's not, in my opinion, I don't think it's been used the way that it was intended.
Potentially there was big financial relationships there too between the companies. My biggest concern with Mario, like I have no issues with the theme as per se, but my biggest, worry is that they've overcommitted with molds. There's so many new molds in Mario that they're honestly not going to use in anything else. And are we facing back in the late 90s, early noughties when they molded themselves out of business?
Yeah, I think there is some of the Mario stuff you're starting to, like those base plates, those 4x4 plates and the 6x6 and the 8x8s, they kind of sneak their way into other sets. I haven't seen another set that's used any of the feet molds from any of the little characters yet.
No.
I'll share this screen real quick. Let me just go this one. Look, $39.
What? Is that US?
Nope. Look, target.com.au.
Holy dooly.
$39 for what was that? $149 when it was released?
Add it to cart. That's worth it just for the pieces.
Yeah, no, it's pick up only, and then you go check stock in stores. Out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. So they obviously got wiped out when they came through, but still, when they dropped that to $39, it's a hardcore discount bin.
It's the time of year everyone's getting rid of slow moving stock before stock take. So this is the type of year to look for older sets.
Michael does make a good point, actually. Molds are a heck of a lot cheaper to produce now than they were in the 90s because now they're all laser cut. Back in the 90s, they were made by hand.
Yeah. Well, it's funny going back to your Mario, how you're talking about the base plates, the 4s by the 6s, then by the 8s. On the post, I've got a few people popping up a few different things. And Ryan Masters over in Perth, he said that he's over all the new elements getting snuck in every new set now. Every time a new set gets released, they've released a new element, or they're adding a new element, or you know what I mean? Which is, he's got a good point.
Yep, they sure are. They're making more and more new elements than they ever have, that's for sure.
But
unfortunately, what that means, though, is that, the lack of availability for some of the elements also becomes a problem.
Do you think they're maybe starting to finally listen, though, with things like the new elephant mold and stuff, that they're actually listening to what people are screaming out for?
I think so. I think Lego have been listening for a long time, and one thing you always got to remember that the stuff that's on the shelf now was starting production 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, not production, but it was starting its initial concepts.
The ideas,
2 years ago. So I think they've been listening for a long time.
Goats.
Absolutely goats.
Yeah.
Luke
always
really
comes
sold
up.
out of Australia. Luke must have went on the Target site and went hunting. I mean, you're not wrong. $39 for that. It's worth it for the whole box of 1x1s.
Yeah, it's worth that just for the parts.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I mean, the only art sets I've ever bought were Mickey and Minnie, and I would buy those again if I could find them at a good price for just to do the alternate builds of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Star Wars one. I've got one Star Wars and I've got one Iron Man, and I would like, if I could get them at a good price, I'd probably get more of those and do the bigger ones.
Yeah.
But they're horrendously expensive, so.
I noticed, talking about cheap sets, I noticed I was at Big W today in their toy sale. They have some really good priced Lego right now. But I mean, that's a toy sale more than a clearance, I guess. So.
Yeah.
But if we want to go back to the topic of what I think has been oversaturated over the years, my initial response to that when I saw the post was, and I know the answer to this already, but I'm just going to say it anyway, but it is the oversaturation of Lego Police and Lego Fire.
Yep.
Every year the city range gets an overhaul of Lego Police, Lego Fire, and yet they seem to overlook Lego healthcare, especially hospitals. You'll get a hospital every 5 years. You'll get a new fire station every year, at least.
And how popular was the hospital when it came out, 3 years ago? I can't remember now. But the hospital, it sold out everywhere so quickly because we hadn't had a decent hospital in 10 years before that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not wrong. How much is a Lego police helicopter? How much of a meme has it become?
Exactly. But not just that, vehicles in general. If you think about it, there is 100 vehicles released every year after year. Vehicle. We all joke about helicopters, but they're runner-up to vehicles. Why can't there be more $20 play sets that don't have vehicles? Or just a symbol ambulance?
Yeah, and look at the the city square from last year and how poorly that did comparatively to the city square prior to that. And again, what is it? It's just another thing with more vehicles, and it's just the same thing over and over and over and over again. And it makes me wonder whether I don't know whether the sales pitches do less and keep it on the shelf more, or whether their whole thing is let's do it more often so that kids are like, I want the newest one, as opposed to leaving it on the shelf for 5 years and letting a generation of kids
all right I just want to
get those sets.
Brent said they want to do more useful digital stuff, make an art set with a bunch of useful parts and backing plates, make an app where you can upload an image. They've already done that, dude. I'm pretty sure it's called Mosaic Maker. Mosaic. check. I could probably Google it. But it's real bad colors. It's like black, grey, and white. Maybe
and
there might
yellow.
be a fourth color, yellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have got that set, but yeah, if it's going to go art, you'll go. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but yeah, Brent said, and they're not going to do it though, as they can do Star Wars and Disney. Yeah, like I said, they have done it, but it's not a very good quality version of it.
Yeah, and
sorry, go.
I was going to say that Mosaic Maker is designed to be like a portrait Mosaic Maker of yourself, sort of thing.
Yeah,
like it's not going to be a great thing to try and do a mosaic of a landscape.
Yeah, yeah. But now, staying on, I guess, topic, going back to what you said about too much police, too much fire, not enough healthcare type things. What haven't they done? Or what aren't they doing enough of? The opposite end of the scale.
In my opinion,
what's been successful that they should have kept digging into, where they've just kind of let it loose?
Coast Guard they did for a few years, and in the bright orange and blues and whites, and it did quite well. And
not even city. Like I'm talking Lego brand wide. Like back to anything. What did they start to roll in that just kind of, why didn't you do more of that? Where's the rest of this going? You know what I mean?
Well, there's certainly not been enough classic space stuff recently, is there? There's been a little bit of, Pirates in itself was a theme that came back in 2010 to 2017 or something like that.
That's right.
So at least we got a second crack at pirate stuff, but classic space or space in the classic form hasn't been around since the 1980s. So maybe the 90s. They need to bring that. We've had a couple of Creator 3-in-1 sets, which sold exceptionally well. Those the Rover and the no, hang on, was the spaceship an alternative of the Rover?
So was classic space like hot off the shelf when it was coming out back in the day?
Well, I don't remember because I was just a kid, but there was a lot of people that bought it. Yeah.
It was a massive thing. It was like a massive part of mine and my brother's childhood was classic space.
Yeah.
And then when it went on to the, I don't know what you call it, but when it went to white and 9-volt sound and light and sound space, with the new minifig helmets and whatnot, even that was just as big. But besides the only, I guess, sort of tease we had with Benny's stuff from the Lego Movie 1 and 2, we haven't had anything. And look how quickly that stuff was snapped up just because it was the closest thing to classic space we'd had in 20 years.
And if you look at, if you look at City, for example, City is a, it's an evolution of classic town. It's grown over the years and it's changed shape and size slightly by virtue of all of the new parts and the evolution of Lego itself. And even like I said, Pirates, there was an evolution of Pirates back in the early 2000s. In the 2010s. But imagine what that evolution of classic space would look like now with all of the modern parts.
Can I stop you there? Exactly. Technically, isn't the shuttle and all the stuff that we've been getting, all the new modern space stuff, that evolution?
I don't believe it's that evolution because that is all licensed stuff. Okay, so the shuttle that came in the Creator 3-in-1, the Rover that came in the Creator 3-in-1, yes, it is kind of, I guess, it is an evolution of space, but it's not like it's not a solid theme. It's not something that we can collect, and it's not something that kids are getting into as a theme really either. And I feel like classic space, if it was brought back in one way or another, whether it was a revamp of the classic spaceman and a bunch of ships and a moon base and all of those sorts of things in semi-classic colors, and even if they brought in an aggressor or an aggressive force or something, I don't know. The last time that we had anything classic space, or correct me if I'm wrong, all of the AFOLs, but it would have been it would have had to have been either the early 2000s when with what Mars mission maybe was that one of the last themes that came through,
Well,
or
would that
Galaxy Squad
be,
or something?
as far as that kind of a theme, then the way you're talking like that, because the stuff that is space now, would that be because it's too modern, too realistic, where you go back to the classic space, it was spaceships that didn't exist, it was moon base build, it was the fantasy side of space, not the realistic side. Maybe that's what's missing.
Look, you just got to take a look at any neoclassic space website that has, or AFOL, that has specializes in neoclassic space, and the amount of scope that's there to create a newer classic space line it's unlimited, essentially. If Lego brought back, they need to bring back to do this, recolor some of these clear pieces, get some more trans yellow, get some more trans red, get some more trans blue, the dark blue, big curved windows. Yeah.
Oh, Graham does it. From Sydney Bilser. The fluoro, is it red and green and black? No, red and black.
Like M-Tron.
Yeah, M-Tron's red and black. Yeah.
Have you seen his displays? He rebuilt like all these Star Wars ships and.
Oh yes. I saw that down in when did I see that? At Prevention last year.
Yeah, and like he's done some really cool stuff. And but like you said, people, they'll take that fluoro trans and really, going, oh geez, that's a message and a half.
Absolutely.
Cool Lego Mama. She bought tickets to her first convention ever and in person too. 2 teams, 4 VIP master. Which convention would that be? Oh, USA. Which one? That's all right.
It's either got to be Brickville, Virginia, or maybe the one in Texas.
Brick Slopes.
Brick Slopes. Whereabouts is that one?
I've never heard of that one. Brent,
no,
I have a 30-minute pitch in me for a whole classic space revival called Beyond Space.
Oh, Utah. Yeah, I know that AFOLs harp on about it all the time. And it would be great to see a revival, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether we'll ever see a classic space revival in its purest form. But,
I don't know if we will either. And same with Monorail too.
Yeah. Darway's in the chat. We'll say Darway. Sorry, Jane, late. It's all good. Why does they choose to forego classic stuff like castles? Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what you did miss it. So Bills have brought up that the digital platforms that they're trying to push is kind of like just, throwing stuff at a wall and hoping that something sticks when everybody kind of knows, well, you assume that, you have the classic stuff that I guess older AFOLs want that, they would sell. And then, you can't knock them for trying all the adult stuff like the typewriter, the World Atlas, the piano. They are trying obviously to cater for the AFOLs, but the AFOLs that have money, they want the nostalgic back. That's they're not moving into the next page.
If Lego bought out a $600-700 UCS styled castle that was of the same caliber as a top of the line modular building, it'd get lapped up. It would get absolutely lapped up.
You would have scalpers on scalpers on scalpers for that.
Yeah.
It would. Huge. It would just, and just imagine all the details that they could make into a modern, with modern parts into a castle, even if it was a semi-realistic, based on a real castle or something. But done it as a UCS scale, a UCS styling and detail. Man, you just look at the blacksmith and how popular the blacksmith was, and then this 3-in-1 creator castle. Even that's really popular, and it's not even that great comparative to the blacksmith. But imagine something on the blacksmith level, but in a large scale. You got your $1,500 Millennium Falcon. People are dropping grand $1,500 on something like that. There are hundreds of thousands of people that have dropped $1,000 on a big Lego castle.
Oh, guaranteed. And because of what it is too, you wouldn't, that it would ring the nostalgic bell, but that would also, because like you said, the detail would take the non-Star Wars people with money is, you know, give me. And mate, and then that's the big question mark, isn't it? Why haven't they even tried to dip their toe into that nostalgic, bringing modern into it?
I don't know. Well, they have dipped their toe in it. They did it last year with Pirates of Barracuda Bay.
And that went well.
That sold very, very well. So, you know, there's people that are clinging to the rumors of you know, maybe we'll get a classic space something this year or next year.
The pirate ship, the creator pirate ship. You know, there's a lot of fan theory that was a test the water to see how well it would sell. And same with this year's castle. You know, is it again? How well will it sell? Those numbers will test that theme. I guess if they could bring back any theme though, and you could only pick one, what would you go for? Would it be classic space? Would it be castle? Would it be forest?
Monorail?
Sports? For me, it'd be adventurers. I loved the adventurers theme and the different, you know, wonders of the world that was released in that.
I'd go sports.
Sports and Extreme Island was pretty cool.
I mean, I've tried to collect all the old sports or ones that are affordable now that, you know, nostalgic's kicked in and so is the price. But
yeah, I'd like Castle to come back. Actually, I miss Castle. You know, the more I think about it and the more I talk about it, the more I think, you know, I don't think Lego will go back to those previous themes too much, because for them it's probably a bit more like going backwards as opposed to going forward. So I do wonder whether they'll just stick to those nostalgia one-off sets. And as far as Monorail goes, Monorail will never come back.
No,
it will never come back in the form of what it was in the past, because those battery cars would never pass muster nowadays, because the teeth used to chew out on those, and Lego would
they'd have to redesign.
They would never do it. Yeah, so it would be a completely different design now, if anything. So it wouldn't even be compatible, I don't believe.
What happened when they released the Pirates and Castle, the wave 5 to 10 years ago? I don't remember a wave of castles.
They didn't do too well.
It was Nexo Night, so I don't think
No.
that's been a decent. Oh
No, prior to that, it was actually just called Castle, yeah, and it was the one that had it had the trolls and the
dragons.
Red
dragons?
The ogres, or no, what are they called?
Yeah.
I think there was a red dragon in there, but they didn't go too well. There was one that also had dwarves in it.
Around the same time with Vikings, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Now, see, again, unfortunately, all of those were in my dark age. Those Viking sets were sick. I look at those now and I think, God damn, I wish I could get some of them.
Ogres.
But the castle sets, I know, because we did buy some of those for one of my boys.
Troll King.
Yeah, that's the ones. But again, they went more fantasy with it. They went fantasy with that, as opposed to, you know, the castle from the late 70s, 80s, and even maybe into the 90s was all faction v faction, you know.
It was.
Whereas when they go fantasy with stuff, yeah, fantasy kind of has its place, but then it's also, AFOLs don't. I'm not going to say AFOLs don't want fantasy, but AFOLs would probably prefer the faction v faction, because with that you can make a medieval mock and stuff as opposed to a fantasy mock, and it just seems to be more compatible with people than the fantasy stuff.
I think a bit of the fantasy's okay as long as it doesn't overshadow the theme.
Well, the thing is now they've got plenty of fantasy themes that they can do just based off either IP or stuff that they've already just done themselves. So, you know, go back to some of those classic Lego themes and stick with the fantasy with your IP. Easy. You know, Star Wars is fantasy essentially. You know, Harry Potter is still fantasy. They've done Lord of the Rings, all fantasy. Elves was very fantastical.
Then, you know, this is just me burning out the old Star Wars candle. If The Mandalorian didn't come out would have that been the end of Star Wars sets coming out? You reckon they still would have kept milking?
They would keep milking it. They will reinvent it. They will release ships that didn't even exist for the sake of doing so. So no,
that's one thing that for me's gone too far.
That cow will never be milked, mate. Because
there's always that many diehard fans for it too. That's why.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Still so much they haven't touched on as well. That if they need to go there, they can. There's so many different offshoots outside of the Skywalker saga that they can follow if they want to.
Yeah, not only that, as like look how many times they reinvent the same thing. You know, how many X-wings have they done? How many TIE fighters have they done?
They have police cars.
Yeah, exactly, and they keep selling. But they keep selling. So yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, yeah. So okay, so this is going to be a wild stab in the middle of the dark. Even guys in the chat as well. What haven't they done which you thought may have been obvious they should have done? What franchise haven't they jumped on with? What haven't they built? What haven't they designed as an adult set? You know, what haven't they got? They think that's kind of stupid. You thought they would have got on top of that. You know, surely there's got to be something out there. And I mean, I know it's an on the spot question. You need, you really got to think about it. But I'm sure someone in the chat will give us something.
So many awesome themes out there that you can think of and go, oh well, hang on, someone else owns that IP, so it'll never happen.
Yeah. Okay.
To me, one thing I'd like to see come with the art sets, because that's something that's obviously successful, is movie posters and pop culture stuff, not just portraits and logos. I think it'd be epic to see a full movie poster or something like that. So
yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain and I'm trying to think of what theme, so to speak, haven't they jumped on? But there's all, without counting dimensions, obviously. I guess there's always, they've covered themselves pretty well with all the mainstream stuff, haven't they? When you really think about it, like even with heavy IP stuff, what have they missed that is locked out of IP?
That they can't have, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, things like Transformers, He-Man.
Yeah, but Transformers wouldn't really. I mean, I get it, kind of, but it's not really a massive IP that they're gonna. Well, I mean, we'd buy a few different Transformers, but so Star Trek, that's kind of maybe a good point.
Yeah, Star Trek.
There's some Star Trek nerds out there that would do it. Michael Stock said Transformer as well. Yeah. A museum set, famous sculptures and art, and I don't know about that one. Pokemon, there's your big one. Pokemon's the big one. I think that GBCs. That's one that I was talking to someone about the other day. Why haven't Lego brought out GBCs? Answer me that.
That is a good question.
Probably because they are so fickle.
Okay, I'll pause you on that one. Look at Akiyuki's stuff. His stuff is
fickle as shit. No, it is not.
It is engineered nice.
No, it is not. No, it's not. We've built Akiyuki stuff. We did it for we did it for the museum 2 or 3 years ago, and it is fickle as hell. It is not as good as it looks in the video. Sorry, man, but
okay, flip it around.
That dude is talented as hell, but it is definitely not as smooth and fluid. Especially his one set stuff. That's the stuff that we had lots of problems with. You buy a set and then turn that into a GBC. You're limited to those parts, but you can't just put a GBC on a table and walk away from it, and parts wear out on it, and gears are going to break and teeth are going to get ground, and Lego just wouldn't they wouldn't do it. There's just no way that they would put a set out that they have no control over, and that someone could run it for 24 hours or whatever, and it'll just get wrecked. and
Would
then
that be-
they're,
would
they're
that
up
be
for
along the
replacing
same
parts.
lines? You know, like JK's the kinetic stuff. Would that be along the same lines as well? That's why they don't do nothing kind of like that.
I think that's why.
Maybe.
So all of the kinetic stuff that they do is all hand crank that can have a motor added to it, but it's all very, very basic mechanism mostly.
Except for, it did blow me away that the haunted house with the dropped elevator, that was definitely next level. They done well.
Yeah,
there.
and look how many people complained about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, mine broke the first night. Is it still working, Bill? Do you even use it? Turn it on?
No, it's broken. I've never even looked at it. It's the
That's
chain
funny.
broke.
E.T. and
you have to
Goonies
pull the
both
whole
got
thing apart
minifigures.
to relink.
They got
they did
minifigures in Dimensions.
Dimensions. Yeah.
Dimensions
So regret not getting those minifigures.
Dimensions was an epic theme and brought so much new elements and life to Lego. Unfortunately, it was 2 years too late because Skylanders was done and dusted by the time Dimensions hit the shelf. And so was Disney Infinity.
Yeah, but not only that, was the Dimension stuff, like the early waves, there was so much of that stuff on clearance, but the later waves never even made it.
No, that's right. That's right.
So trying to finish those collections, I didn't get E.T., I didn't get Goonies, I didn't get the ones that I really regret not getting was Gremlins. God, I wish I'd got the Gremlins.
Really?
Oh yeah, who doesn't wish they didn't get the Gremlins?
Yeah, I mean, you got to like it or not like it. I suppose, like me, I love the Mario stuff. You know, you kind of miss the Mario.
Yeah.
What did Michael say? I like the concept of the new Harry Potter where the sets join together. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's at least they're trying.
I do too, and I'd love them to see play sets like that. Like we were talking before about too many cars. Why do they have cars? And it's because of the playability factor. Well, why not cheaper, smaller play sets that form together year after year to create something bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yeah.
You just need a standard formula that you can build whatever story within that can add to one from previous year and previous year.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. And I think that might become more prevalent with the new road plates because I think that's where they're going with those, trying to get them to connect. So,
yep.
Michael's got a good point. Imagine doing that with Star Wars. There's a whole nother theme in itself.
Exactly. It's like the golden minifigure in the new wave of Harry Potter too. It's a reason to collect it all. And I think Ninjago are going to do something similar for their anniversary, if I'm right. But the Harry Potter one, collecting that gold minifigure, like Star Wars for their 20th anniversary last year, did the same with their 6 or 7 feet.
Yeah, okay. Imagine like I just keep going back to the Pokemon. Like imagine if they did catch that IP or own that IP. Like, I mean, would it be? I mean, I know you'd have a couple of fight arenas, I guess, if you stay true to the Pokemon theme. But what would you do? Would it be minifigs? Would it be animal size created 3-in-1 size? You know, maybe they've looked into it and realized it's not a smart move.
Yeah,
I mean, not everyone's going to build like Dave Holder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'd have to do play set style. Like the whole SpongeBob wave, I guess. You'd have to do play sets like that.
And look how good that went.
Well,
cool.
Another one like that they did for 5 minutes and not nearly enough of was Scooby-Doo. That went absolutely nuts. And it literally lasted 5 minutes. It was on the shelf for less than any other theme in history.
Yeah, I think Steve Reedy or Steve in Melbourne bought most of them, didn't he?
Steve Reynolds.
Steve Reynolds, that's it, yeah. Reedy's the other one.
That was awesome, though.
Play sets are the best Lego. I think you could do the big Harry Potter fig style for Pokemon. Yeah, I mean, you probably, that's only now that we know that Harry Potter style exists. And see, there's another theme that they can push now into everything they own, that
Mega
size.
Figs or something.
Yeah. And it's friggin' awesome. It's I mean, you never know. You know, Hey, give us 6 months. So Dan, we're talking about the other night. We've been doing these streams every week pretty much now. I think we've missed 4 for a year.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're trooping on.
Yeah.
We're getting through. But we're talking. I think last year it was. Yeah, who knows? But you imagine us in a year from now. What Oh, this come out. Oh, I can't believe that. It's for us. It's endless content, which is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always
Hopefully in a year's time, we'll be saying, "Thank God they released the goats again."
Yeah.
If they do a goat, I think if they redo goats, they're going to be a different mold. They're not going to be the same mold, I don't think.
I hope not, because it means that my 4 is still worth something.
Or if they were the same mold, they'd be a different color or something or other. I doubt we'll ever see those white goats again.
Well, it's like the re-release of the new monkeys that came out last week. We've been wanting monkeys back again for quite some time. And I think the new one are a really good return of the monkey. They don't have the 4 moving arms and legs like the original 90s Pirates one, so they're nowhere near as part intensive, but they're still a decent monkey without the cutesy wootsy friends face on them.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go. There's a scene. There's a theme there's too much of. Cutesy wootsy friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long till someone does a monochrome maxi fig color? Dude, I guarantee someone already has.
I'm surprised no one's working on that now.
Sure.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are.
And what's even worse? Dan's sitting there with 10 million secrets in his head and 500 new sets under his desk that he's like, you wait till this comes out type thing.
I don't, man. I've got nothing. Okay, I've got one thing here that is waiting for an embargo, but everybody's seen it. If you've watched the Adidas shoe designer video, you've seen this in that video. It was sitting on the table quite clearly, plain as day. For some reason, we're still embargoed on it. But other than that, I have nothing here that has not been announced. Nothing. The latest sets to arrive from Lego were 3 Monkey Kid sets, and I'll be building them tomorrow. I'm building one tomorrow on stream with April, but no, nothing else yet, mate.
But you said you've got nothing there that hasn't been announced. What about up here? Because that's your play on words there is very
Well, that's a different story.
Oh, that is funny.
Bilsy said what I was sitting on under my desk, and there's nothing. Stuff that's in transit, that's different. It doesn't count.
And I'm skimming, literally scrubbing through the Adidas. I haven't seen the video yet to know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's on the table.
The gift with purchase, I can see.
The little gift with purchase.
Is that what you're talking about?
I hope we're getting that GWP.
No, it hasn't. No, I'm sure there's been a someone posted on Instagram the other day about it. Oh.
Yeah, it's not a secret. It's been out there.
We'll show the love to the. Hold on, where's my share button? Share. At least I'll get marks. People can come at me, and it is pretty cool with the almost looking like German soccer guy minifig, almost the old German soccer team one. When they blue with stripes.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be a shoebox.
Oh
like
it's
very wearing a shoebox.
Very square, does it? Yeah. Wow, that's not that exciting. I was hoping there'd be something, digging around the back that you were. That skim past or
nothing super exciting. But the other thing you got to remember, by the time we get all our information, everything's already been leaked. So
yeah, and I think we've said it before. It's the retail shops we need to chase, not the RLFMs.
Yeah, look, retailers, they get their info a lot earlier than us because they have to make their purchases 6 months in advance. You see, so they'll get a list of sets with names.
True,
and set numbers.
Code names.
Only
code name.
Only 1 or 2 sets per half has a code name, and it's usually like the Lego Ideas stuff will have a code name, but it will say Lego Ideas. They just don't know which Ideas set it is. That's all it'll say.
Yeah,
just
when
Lego
they
Ideas.
see Lego Ideas, they're going to buy big because it's always generally a hot topic, a hot item.
Sometimes some of them haven't been. You know,
Like
the
typewriter.
I don't know. I think the typewriter's been relatively popular.
Not here.
Well, no.
Not there.
So the Rabina store, they bought big and got overstaffed for opening morning, and no one turned up.
Bummer.
But it's funny. Next Thursday night, me and Bill are going in and building the Adidas shoe in store.
Live in store.
So we're doing a live build in the store, and we're going to have Brickman next Wednesday. And actually, we'll talk to you off air. But he, I don't think he's going to work because he wants your time slot, and he's not available after 7 on Wednesday. So I was like, I can give him the Dan, but like, nah, Dan gets too many viewers as it is. We need the love. But I will talk off air on that one.
Sweet.
But no, I think overall, when you do look at the theme, as in, are they flogging the dead horse, or are they pushing a theme too far? It's not. There's nothing out there that they've really over flooded and saturated. It's like, come on, just give up. You know what I mean? Like, we can whinge about a few things here and there, but overall, I think they've done fairly well. Fairly well.
Would you think that breaks in themes would be successful? Like, every year on year, we get new Star Wars or we get new Harry Potter. If we had a year without Star Wars and then a new wave of Star Wars, how much better would it sell, do you think, after a year's break, or would people lose interest?
No, I don't think people would lose interest.
Like, would it make the theme better if they had a year off here and there, or a break within the theme? To kind of make it more important again, I guess. Like, if we had a year without police stations and police cars, they'd go nuts the next year because everyone would be due to catch their robbers again.
Yeah, and they kind of did that with Harry Potter. We got a wave of it in 2019 and then another wave this year. So, and that's super popular.
Nick from Broome. G'day, buddy, from out in the middle of nowhere. Brent, I think you're right. They'd lose money if they held off too long. It'd be like them forcing their own dark period if people only like that certain set. I mean, I know it's kind of really narrowing it down, but you know which theme they did well? As in, here's a theme, let's pump it out and they're going to see you later. Chinese. The Chinese stuff. Here's all the Chinese stuff. Bang, 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 bang. See you later. We're done. You know what I mean?
I like that that's only released at the same time every year and not all year long. I think that gives you something. I don't like that it's released obviously around Chinese New Year because so much comes out in January and Boxing Day and New Year's Day that it's hard for your wallet to breathe. But obviously with Chinese New Year, you can't release it any other time of the year.
I've got it. Star Wars should only be sold on May the 4th. Well, I mean, and you can go back to the whole, they only release advent calendars towards the end of the year. They only do,
Well, there's another one, advent calendars. Like, we used to have 2 advent calendars, City and Star Wars. Then Friends came along and obviously was popular. Harry Potter came along 2 years ago. It's gone so well that now Marbles come in. Like, I don't have that many kids to buy that many calendars. Come on.
Good point.
Now, where do you stop there? Like, that's now 4 or 5 different calendars this year. Like, I mean, Lego is healthier than chocolate, but that's a lot of calendars.
Yeah, that's a reasonable saturation.
Like, do you give up on the basics like City and stick to the themes? Because City seems to have firemen every bloody year. So do you give that a rest and stick to the themes for a year? I don't know. How long? I mean, if Marvel goes well, how long before DC want a piece of the pie or Disney want a piece of the pie? And then there's more. I'm going to have to start collecting more kids so I can buy the advent calendars.
Michael Stock wrote, just buy one that you like. You don't realize he buys all of them because he likes all of them.
Except Friends. Mini dolls creep me out.
Okay. Here's the going out question, and I guess a big one that's been around for a while. Modulars. is it smart that they bring one every year, or is it too much, or is it not enough?
No, I look
Or is it
forward
just
to
right?
I look forward to my modular every year.
Okay, so they've got that down pat. They've got that timing nailed.
Yeah, I look forward to my modular, but I wish that they would stop releasing shitty little apartments and do something decent. You know, like they've done the police station now, which was great. Now they need to revisit a fire station, or
Just after Dan says there's too much fire.
No. But a modular fire station is completely different to a red and black city style one. You know, they need to do a hospital, they need to do a museum or an observatory. There's so many modulars they can do as a single building rather than trying to pack so much into each one.
Yeah, everyone's on that ballpark. The whole yearly. 1 year's good, yearly's good. Love one per year. And that's perfect. And then, you know, I mean, that's a perfect example of they've nailed, you know, the market to drip feed. They haven't overdone it. They haven't got people screaming about it.
Yeah, like I look forward to the New Year's Day modular, and also the couple of months prior, the waiting and the scurrying to try and find out what the new modular is going to be.
Michael, Vaccination Research Centre. There's your next one. Oh, far out. All right.
Minifigures.
We'll pull the pin for tonight. It was good. It was a good chat. Inner city school. Yeah, modulars. Yeah. That's a whole nother stream. We can talk about modular theming. Dan, thanks for coming in. We're glad you came in. You didn't sleep through it, and even though you're a bit late, mate, still happy to have you.
Sorry, mate. Yeah,
we love you getting in here. We gave you a bit of shit before you come on air, but hey, you deserved it. Don't forget, on Wednesday night, it is the big raid train that goes all around the world, gets into Dan at about 5 o'clock, then comes here to us at 7. Make sure you do follow him Between the Bricks on Twitch, and then come into us, and we get all Dan's people that have fallen asleep, and we re-pep them, and hopefully we can keep them awake. But that's Wednesday night. Until then, we'll see you all